Hello and good evening. I'm Bradley Chapman, the host of The Diamond Show, and thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come on this evening. The Diamond Show is proudly powered by Radio Works World, and we're broadcasting to you live on the Radio Works World platform. So thank you very much indeed for coming on this evening. We've got a really fantastic interview lined up. We've got a young entrepreneur online with us at the moment from Canada, a really fantastic guy. What I love about this guy, Andrew Perrie, is not only is he holding down a full-time career in the real estate sector, he is also runs his own business on top of that. Now, I always talk about entrepreneurship, and I talk about people that's going into business, they're running a full-time career, and they've got a career, and they've got their business, which they're running as well. Now, it takes the ultimate sacrifice for anyone, to work during the day, work during the evening, to combine, a career and a business together. So it's my great pleasure, actually, to introduce you to Mr. Andrew Perrie from Ontario in Canada. So, hi, Andrew. Good evening. How are you doing, buddy? How are you doing?
Hey, thank you very much. It's actually mid-afternoon here, but the way I've been working, it does feel like evening.
So, as we just talked on the pre-show, you've had quite a busy day, and you shared your day with me, what you've been up to. But share your day with the audience, the sort of day you've had since the alarm clock went up this morning. It's 3:15 over there, but share your day so far.
Well, okay, so first things first, I changed my son's butt, right bright and early at 6 a.m. And, from there, the day really started to get going. It was one of those days where, I had everything systemized and planned out the day before, but a few of those extra things just came at me and I had to kind of improvise on the go. So I've been out showing properties for most of the day. I had to go back to a house to appraise a house for a bank mortgage. And all the while I've been shooting a vlog for my own personal business page. And then here we are on the show with you, Bradley.
No, fantastic. And look, we've spoken, a few times, haven't we? And tonight we're going to talk about real estate, in Canada and what's happening with the market in Canada. We're going to be talking about your own business, which is CYOS, which is Create Your Own Success, which I love the URL and the name, by the way. That's pretty awesome. We're going to be talking about your public speaking and what you've been doing there, because that's how we first got connected about 2 months ago when I was broadcasting. Well, I was sort of testing and measuring Facebook Live to see how it worked, and we did a thing on me mentoring, someone with public speaking. He connected with me and said, Bradley, listen, when you help me with public speaking, and then you've subsequently gone on, you've done a lot of public speaking, your business is now accelerating. So we're going to be asking a lot of questions about your entrepreneurship and about, the realtor business, being a realtor, estate agents, we call it in the UK. Now, if you're watching from the UK, if you're watching, from the UK and you're in the property market, whether you're involved in, looking to buy a property or buy to let, rent to rent, whether you're running a HMO business, or you've got a portfolio of properties, this will be quite interesting because this will give you a view, what's happening in Canada, what's going on over there. And it'll also give you a view from an entrepreneurship point of view, as I say, with Andrew Perrie, who's got a full-time career and also he's running his own business. So let's jump into, our first question. Of course, as you said this morning, you wiped your son's butt, you've got to work, you've shown properties, you've done listings, and your day's not over yet, it's 3:15 in the afternoon. But the first thing I want to talk to you about really is about, the property, the property over in Canada and what you're doing, so I can understand what you do, how you do, and what the market is like. So let's jump into our first question so we can understand, what's the property market like in Ontario, in Canada. Just explain the area that you cover and what you do, how the market is, Andrew.
Absolutely. So, you know what? We've actually been coming off the tail of an extremely hot seller's market where, homes weren't lasting more than a few days and, without being sold for over asking price. So we're still definitely in a seller's market. And when I say I'm located in Niagara Falls, in the southern, pretty much the southern tip of Ontario. And I cover up for about a half an hour radius. But even all over southwestern Ontario, like Toronto, we're experiencing the same things. So we still are definitely in a seller's market where the average days on market are still under 40 days. So, we're still coming out strong. The prices are going up. Yes, the unit sales are going down, but it's still a great time to be a seller. And the average price has gone up almost $100,000 in the last 2 years where I am. So the average home price in the Niagara area right now is about $423 or in and around there, and you compare that to $320 a couple of years ago. So it's definitely a huge increase in what your home is worth, but now we are starting to see that kind of taper down a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's quite interesting. What's the Canadian dollar trading at the moment between Canadian dollar and the
US?
British pound?
Oh, and the British pound, I'm not sure. Compared to the States, we did see a pretty big rise. I think it's up close to 78 to 80 cents per American dollar. So we're climbing back up.
Yeah, let me just check the rate out at the moment. So every Canadian dollar is 0.61 British pounds. So let me just convert that back to the British pound to the Canadian dollar. So it's let's have a look now. So every Canadian dollar is worth 60 pence. So it's about a 40% hike. So it's about, I suppose about 300 grand, give or take, house price, or just under that, just to give a comparison, 300,000 sterling, give or take. So I mean, our price is going up on that much. You're up 25% or something. That's crazy growth, right? So I mean, are people buying properties out there with buy to let, or they rent them out? I mean, we have HMO here in the UK, where they've got the sort of home market occupancy, and then people are buying properties as a portfolio, investing into them to do flips. Renovations. Your clients that's coming to your customers, they're a mixture of people that's just generally buying a house to live, as well as investors. And what's the mix like?
Yeah, so that's a great question. When I first started out in real estate, it was more focused towards first-time home buyers, single-family residential homes, and then it kind of, just the way I guess my network has been exploding online, it's been attracting all types of people and all types of investors. And so now I have a healthy mix between seasoned investors, that first-time flipper, that first-time renter, and of course the first-time home buyer. So I'm seeing and I'm getting to experience almost everything that the industry has to offer right now. So it's great. It's great for me.
So it's quite healthy. And how long have you been in the real estate business? How long have you been involved with that?
Just under a year now. I think about 10 months, maybe 9 months.
And what was your transition? Because you've gone through this major transition of coming out of your previous job, LA Fitness, working all the hours God sends, and going to the real estate sector, and also you've then created your own business as well. So you're quite an energetic guy because you've got great energy. We've spoken for quite a few times. I've seen some of your live videos, that you put on. You've got a great brand, a great presence. So, I mean, what's driving you, motivating you? What is your motivator?
I think it's for me, it's never really changed. I think what really motivates me is just the drive to keep pursuing a goal. I think having goals are so important, but fulfilling them are much more important. So I think by the time I get to reach those goals, it's time to set another goal and raise the bar a little bit. So I think when it comes to what drives me and what gives me all this energy is the fact that I'm always looking forward towards the next thing. I love the completion of goals, but I like starting a new goal just the same, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a question come up, actually. I think it's probably either Marina, or Darry, but they're saying there that, let me just put it up on screen so you can see it. Is the rise in demand due to investors buying to bank land or due to influx of migrants coming to Canada from the US and further afield? Quite a valid question. So what is the reasoning behind the increase in the property prices. What's driven that, I guess, is what Marina's asking or Gary's asking now.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that definitely varies from town to town or city to city, but let's just put it this way. Our government implemented restrictions. They actually implemented a foreign buyer's tax, and that that was basically the stop to the huge seller market or the beginning of the tapering off that I was talking about. So I would have to say that the large demand would be because of migrants coming in and buying up land. But it's not the case where I am right now. In Niagara Falls, I think it was about 4 to 6% of out-of-towners buying up property. Or, and you know, in that case, migrants as well. But in Toronto, we're seeing a completely different story, especially in the northern markets of the GTA, like Aurora, Newmarket, Markham, which are about 40 minutes outside of the core of Toronto. And we saw a huge tapering off right when they implemented that foreign buyer's tax. So I didn't see who asked that question, but they got it pretty spot on right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, where do you see the market is going? I mean, at the moment, I mean, obviously, you know, I speak to different property investors. You know, some of my clients invest in property. I've got some guys that have got multiple residential properties and do a lot of HMO around areas where there's universities. They buy a shed load of property around universities, and then they sort of HMOs and multiple occupancy, and they're doing really, really well. But they're concerned that there's going to be, you know, another property bubble burst soon, and the reasoning for that is that, you know, the first-time buyers have been pretty much cut out of the market. You know, wages aren't rising. You know, the Bank of England actually the other day downgraded the forecast in the UK, and it's looking pretty tough right now. I mean, the NHS is cutting back left, right, and centre. They're cutting money all over the place in the UK, and there's concerns that, you know, the recovery with Brexit isn't as great as what they thought it would be. It's going to be billions of pounds of costs for us here in the UK anyway. So there's a concern here in the UK that property, you know, it's fragile. I mean, it's growing, it's steady, and it's stable. But do you think that we're going to have another property burst, a big bang that's going to make property tumble again? Or do you think in Canada specifically it's going to keep growing? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I think that we're definitely seeing a lot of a stable market coming ahead. So the prices are increasing, but we're seeing them increase in ways that are natural now. You know, 6 months ago, we were seeing crazy amount of increases, 40,000, 50,000, and even $1 million over asking, which is just absurd. That was one story out of Toronto. And that's when we were getting a little scared. You know, I mean, we were getting very worried about how can these properties hold their value moving forward. And you know, at least now we're seeing the market kind of stabilize. I can't speak for the UK, but here the market is definitely strengthening as a whole. And moving forward, I don't think anybody's nervous anymore. I think, you know, we're actually excited that the market is balancing off because it's a lot safer for everybody involved. And like you said, the first-time home buyers are finally having a chance to get back into the game and start their investing and start their home ownership career with.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's quite an exciting time, but also it's a challenging time. I feel very frustrated, you know, for the first-time buyers because they just can't get the market right now. And, you know, wages aren't growing at the rate. I know it's the same all over the world. You know, the base rate of wages aren't growing, you know, high enough to help them get on the first ladder. So what they're doing in Canada to help first-time buyers, is there any government incentives to help first-time buyers over there? Is there anything going on where they're trying to get first-time buyers into the market as rentals? Of course, what happens in the market is when property prices go up, rentals go up as well, which equally makes it difficult for first-time buyers because they've got to pay an extortionate amount of rent, which means they can't save and then they can't buy a property. So, I mean, it's like a, you know, catch-22. So are the Canadian government doing anything out there to support first-time buyers?
Yeah, I mean, we have it's weird because they want to help, and you can see them trying by implementing a first-time home buyer's tax rebate. So in Canada, when you purchase a property, you have to pay land transfer tax on that property. And when you're a first-time home buyer, you can get up to $4,000 of that money back. So if it costs me $5,000 for land transfer tax and I'm a first-time home buyer, I only have to pay $1,000. But at the same time, you now have to get stress test to get a mortgage. So if mortgage rates are about 2.7 right now, I still have to get stress test if I'm putting 5% down at 4.63. I think it still is. So the rules are completely upside down, and they're going all left and right. They're not giving buyers, first-time home buyers, that comfortability of, okay, well, I might save some money on the land transfer tax, but now I can only afford a home that's $200,000 as opposed to $280, and that price point can make a huge difference. And that's all because they have to get stress tested at a higher percentage rate, even though that they're not getting that rate. It's just in case the Canadian government, the Bank of Canada wants to raise those rates, and then in which case they can pay their mortgage. So I understand from a safety concern why that's important, but at the same time, it's kind of a catch-22, like you're saying. It's very hard for first-time home buyers to get ahead.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's some great feedback. What are people? I mean, look, you've got properties in the cities and you've got property in the suburbs. So obviously you're based in Ontario at Niagara Falls. As a guy I know through Radio Works, actually, Robert J. Moore. Do you know Robert J. Moore? Do you know Robert?
Yeah. He's from my hometown in Barrie, actually.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of the authors that has been published by Radio Works here in London by the founder Marina Canali. Yeah, he is, and his book actually, From Rock Bottom to Success.
Rock Bottom to Success, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have got a copy here. I think it's in my. No, it's here. Just hold on. Let me just try and grab that. I'll just grab that while we're online. I've got my jeans on tonight because I'm knackered, normally in a full suit. But that's Robert's book there. Let me go. Let me see.
I've got that book. Yeah.
Have you got it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was generous enough to send me a copy. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's published by Radio Works in London.
Wow.
Radio Works is the platform that you're broadcasting on now.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but great book. So listen, have you got a book in store for you in the future? Are you going to be writing a book at some stage? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah. I've definitely been working on. It's more of a thought leadership book with a focus on video marketing and kind of overcoming adversity and dealing with entrepreneurship in this day and age. Because I mean, although I am only 30, I still grew up in a structured environment where get a job, go to university, retire at 65, and then live off your pension. And, learn to have fun, at 65 as opposed to enjoy your life throughout the entirety. And that's kind of what the book's about, is finding your entrepreneurial spirit and, running with it.
Totally fantastic. I mean, look, your energy, without a doubt, your energy is fantastic. Your drive is fantastic. You're a young and vibrant guy. What I want to ask you as well is this, that, with the Diamond Show and the Diamond Experience, and as a business coach, I've had the great pleasure to work with different clients around the world. And actually what's happening now for me is quite strange, because my clients are now coming from the US, Canada, India, and in the last, the Diamond Experience has only been live, 4 or 5 weeks now. So, it's been quite relentless. And I've got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to going away on Friday for a little break, because I am exhausted right now. I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 47. But when I speak to clients now in America, and it's really, really kind of cool that they're becoming attracted to me. I love their energy and their attitude. A lot of my clients in the UK, I love them to bits as well. And in the UK, I've got to be quite selective, because you can get what we call the misogs, right? Some of the misogs. And you have got a great energy. And a lot of my clients now that's coming through from America, they've got this great energy, and I'm drawn to Americans. How do you think that Canadians and the British get on? I mean, obviously we've got a love of Canada, etc., with the Queen and your most amazing Prime Minister over there, Justin Trudeau. But look, what do you think the Canadians and the British? How do you think our relationship is?
Oh man, my family's from Dundee in Scotland. I know it's not quite the British, but it is over the pond, right? And everybody loves my dad. My dad's got a strong Scottish accent. He's very charming, and and I think that kind of speaks to the two relationships between the two continents, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of a difficult question, because other than that, I don't know anybody else other than yourself, and I think that the two countries have always had a strong relationship. The Queen's on our currency, so I think we have a great relationship. I guess that's all I can say.
Yeah, we do, and I love Canada as well. I'm going to get myself out there within the next 6 to 12 months. Actually, so I'm going to be coming out to Canada, that's for sure. I'm also going to be going out to Missouri in the US as well, and meeting up with a couple of people there. So I'm going to be taking a bit of a road trip, entrepreneur on the road. I'm actually writing my 3rd book on the road in America, like a British entrepreneur travels in the US. So let's get back to your business now, because, you're a realtor during the day and during the night, right? You've now got, the weekends, you're working your butt off there. You've now created your own business as well, which is fairly new. And of course, we spoke a few weeks ago, you've been drumming on. I love the name and the brand of your company, which is called, CYOS. Now, CYOS, create your own success. Introduce your business, Andrew, and tell us, how did it come about? Because that's the founder, it's your baby, it's your business. Talk to the viewers about CYOS, what you do, what's about, and this is on top of your full-time job during the day. This is your entrepreneurship career. So fire away, buddy. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Bradley. So, the CYOS company stands for, create your own success. The premise behind the business is that in Canada, it's getting very, very expensive for entrepreneurs to start their own ventures. And one of the biggest pieces of your budget is dedicated to marketing and branding. That's everything from logos, video marketing, social media campaigns, and websites. And it can get very, very costly. Even headshots can get costly. The last thing that you need to focus on when you're starting up your business is how your headshots are coming, or how your website's going to be done, and how much it's going to cost. You need to be able to focus on the business. So what I do is I do develop the websites and the video marketing for you, but what the main concern is how to teach you to create your own success so you can run the campaigns effectively yourself. So as opposed to charging a marketing company X amount of dollars a month and I run everything for you, it's just a consultation fee, and we figure out what exactly the training you need, and then I train you how to run everything yourself. Because as a small business owner and entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have the budget to hire a marketing company to do all your social media work, do your video marketing. So why don't I just teach you how to create that success for yourself? And that's the whole premise behind the company. I want you to learn. I want you to run your own business by yourself until you've found the budget to add in a higher agency.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I was taking a peek at your website a little bit earlier, and you talked about Gary Vaynerchuk within one of your videos. Did I get that right? You was talking about Gary Vaynerchuk? Yeah. So last night, we interviewed Jesse Kay online. I don't know if you saw it with Sean Maroney, and Jesse Kay actually interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk. So when I was looking at your website, and I saw you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk is an awesome dude. But I said, how did you? What's the synergy there between yourself and Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary Vaynerchuk, I should say.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine named Sean Arnott started a networking event called Haste and Hustle, and then a friend brought me along to kind of help out with their digital marketing. So I was running the Facebook page and the Instagram page for that event. And, we got to sit down and have a conversation with Gary. My wife and her family, they own a winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake up where we live. And so I brought him a bottle of wine because he's a huge wine connoisseur, obviously, with Wine Library TV and everything that he's done. And, we had a great conversation. It was short but sweet. But it was great to meet him, and I learned a lot from his talk there that day. And it was great to actually be able to do a one-on-one with him.
Mm. So yeah, so where's the site going to go? Because equally, when we first met, he was talking to me about public speaking. So, and I know you've been speaking in public because a couple of times I've been speaking to you. So now I'm just about to go on and do, a speaking session. So you get on with public speaking. What's happening with that?
Well, it's something that I really wanted to pursue. When the company was first starting out, because at first I kind of thought that's just what people do, just by watching people on social media, and I didn't quite understand it, and I was having trouble trying to break into the industry. And then as I started gaining traction in my business and on social media, my network was growing, and people were actually engaging and liked what I was putting out as far as content. Then the calls started coming in. Then my public speaking career started to grow from there. So I think once I started to provide the value to my audience is when they started to provide me with some value and invited me out to all these different events to speak. And so it's been a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to hop back on the stage in the future. And I'm actually in talks right now to talk at the next Hazen Hustle event with Gary Vaynerchuk. We still have a few things to kink out, but that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you're going through this stage as an entrepreneur within your journey. You're going through this very exciting stage where, your mind is growing, your mind's developing. I call it, the diamond shed, when you shed your skin, the diamond skin shedding. And every time you come up against something new that you haven't experienced before, you shed your skin, you learn and apply. So, and I've been in your position, working full time during the day and, building the business at night. I mean, I remember one of the businesses I started, when I talk about the ultimate sacrifice for entrepreneurs, some young entrepreneurs that are starting out, they really don't know what I'm talking about. They don't understand what a sacrifice is, and I'm sure you do. But, I was working during the day in a full-time role and coming in, getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning, going to work for 7 a.m., coming home at 5 p.m., washing my face, brushing my teeth, and then I was going in my car at night from like 7 at night until 4 in the morning, making deliveries around the M25 so I could afford to get an income to work on my new business during the day. Now, of course, you have to be very careful you don't burn yourself out and kill yourself entirely.
Yeah.
There is a sacrifice that you make when you decide to go into entrepreneurship, and it's tough because before you start to turn the corner, to get the rewards, you will go through it. And I went through it, and I have gone through it again with the diamond experience and what I'm doing. Because, you're ultimately changing and shaping your brand and your name all the time to hone it and define it. And as my good man Tim Burt just said online, who actually knocked me for 6 with his advertising, to get your brand right and define your brand right so people start coming to you is an amazing thing. So you're doing both. You're working during the day, you're building your business at night, you've been through this emotion for 30 years of age, you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing. What's your advice for, budding entrepreneurs? What's your advice for budding entrepreneurs that want to do the same thing but perhaps have not quite got the diamond strength and persistence in them? What's your advice then to get going and hang on, for dear life? Yeah. Some people, they don't like my answers to this question. I think it's just one of those things where you just have to pull your socks up and you just have to do it. If it's something that you're very passionate about, you just have to do it. You can't complain about it. You can't bitch and moan about it. You can't put it off. You really just have to get out there every day and do it. If it's something that you want bad enough, you'll find the time. You won't find excuses. You'll find excuses if you're really not that passionate about it, if you're just a talker. A lot of I don't know, I guess I don't know the proper word to call them, but a lot of people just kind of idolize these entrepreneurs online, and then they kind of put that CEO or they put that entrepreneur in their title, and somehow it makes them feel better. But for those people, wannapreneurs, that's the term. For those people, it's just not in the cards for that. If it's in the cards for you and you're serious about it, you just have to do it. It's that simple. The only advice I could give
is just do it.
Yeah, it is. It is most definitely a case of doing it 100%. And you know, when I'm working and coaching with different people, you know, and I ask them that, you know, listen, I'll coach you and I'll mentor you. We'll get your business where it needs to go, but you've got to put in the work. You've got to be prepared to do it. You've got to be prepared to dig down deep inside yourself. And if I'm going to coach you and mentor you, and you know, and I say to you, listen, you're going to have to give up weekends for a few weeks, and they don't give up their weekends, and then they're out partying or something, and they're not grafting. I lose my respect for them immediately, because if you've got a business and you're on a schedule to launch something, and it's done so many times with different business owners, and I can almost give them almost go out and grab them and give them a wake up call. Look, if you want this thing to work, you've got to put in the effort, and you have to sacrifice temporary now for the long term gain. What sacrifices have you made in terms of your journey, Andrew, and where you're going now?
There's many. I think the biggest sacrifice that I've made in the last, I would say 18 months is when I decided to leave the comfortability of my corporate job, where I was getting paid 6 figures. So I was getting a very healthy paycheck every 2 weeks. And when my son was born, about 2 months after he was born, is when I decided to actually leave the company. So I guess the biggest sacrifice at first was the fact that I had to let go of that paycheck every couple of weeks. So from there, when I really started to get into the seriousness of what I was doing and becoming an entrepreneur and on that path, I realized that the sacrifices started building up. You're sacrificing family time. Yes, you do have to prioritize and set time away for yourself and for your family, but sometimes there's things that you just need to take care of in the moment, and there's things that you need to spend time on and work on, and sometimes you have to sacrifice that family time, and you have to be willing to do it, as well as definitely your personal time. If you have something that you need to get done, but you decide to go out, as you say, and party, then obviously it wasn't really that important to you in the first place. So I've had to deal with that a lot, sacrifice parties, family events, you know, in separate opportunities. There's an old phrase, you can't chase 2 rabbits. So I think what that means is you have to kind of look at the long-term opportunity. So if I have an opportunity to, maybe this is a little bit of a bad example, but I had an opportunity where I could have took a client on 4 showings in one day, or I could have took that free ticket to Haste and Hustle. And when I took that free ticket to Haste and Hustle, it really launched my network and launched my business just from meeting people from that event. So sometimes the sacrifices come in different sizes, whereas some people saw me sacrificing a deal in real estate, but really to me, I saw the ongoing opportunity of attending that event.
Yeah, sure. I mean, tell us a little bit about your family. What's your family life like? You mentioned that you've got a young son. You know, so not only are you got a daytime job and you're an entrepreneur with your new business, you know, you've got a young baby. So have you got a good support network? And you know, tell us a bit about your family life and your son and your background. And I actually don't know. I never asked you this before. Are you married or in a relationship?
Yeah. So I've been with my spouse now for 4 years this September.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we do a lot together. So like I said before, her family has the winery, so we're there every Sunday. Her family's Italian, so every Sunday we have dinner and we all get together, we all share stories, we break bread, we have wine. And then during the week, I always set enough time to you know, either watch a movie with her or put my son to bed. I always try to save that part of my day for them. And I think, you know, we do stuff all the time. We have a great relationship. They're very supportive. They're very understanding when, you know, I do have to be on the phone until 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning to get a deal done. So I think it's very healthy, but you got to have that communication. And I think that's why our family life is so strong.
That's very important. And you said you take wine and break bread. So do you go to church? May I ask you that?
No, actually, we don't.
It's just, it's just a
Yeah,
matter of, listen, I'm quite a spiritual guy. You know, I don't
yeah,
go to church at the weekends. I'm a very spiritual guy. I'm very I'm a Christian, very spiritually connected. But I don't go to church every weekend. In fact, the only church that I do go to is a church in Ongar called the Greenstead Church.
hmm
And I tell you, with an entrepreneur's journey, this is a very important thing. You talk about business, talk about family, talk about the sacrifices and challenges. And I don't normally talk about religion because it's a wide subject. But for me, where I find some of my peace and some of my darkest times, I'm looking for inspiration in Ongar, in Essex. There's an old wooden church. It's the oldest wooden church in the country. It's called the Greenstead Church, and it's a bit of a museum. It's very quaint. It's very beautiful. But you can go up there and go in and sit. Open the church door. You can go in. You can sit in the front row, and for me, I'll go in there maybe twice, three times a year, and just say my thanks and get some me time.
hmm
Appreciate everything that's going on. And I think what that does for me is it just helps me remember that actually on your journey, of life, that we're all moving forward with our business. We're trying to create a better life for ourselves, our family, and our children. But there has to be something else. I believe that we should all have a business coach, and I believe that we should all have something else connecting us, to allow us to feel the flow and the connection with the universe. Because for so long I was chasing big business, and now I don't. I just do what I love
Yeah.
and enjoy, and the right people are coming into my life. So I think there's something or some place where we all go as an entrepreneur that we find that. And just as ourselves, as the singular entrepreneur, not our family now. Is there anything that you do as an entrepreneur where you'll go somewhere or do something to take for your mind to find some flow or energy? Is there somewhere you find company warm that you go and do?
My car.
Yes, right,
My
cool.
car. So I do a lot of different things as far as giving my thanks and showing gratitude, which I think is huge. Um, but most of the time it is actually in my car because that's where I spend most of my alone time. And that's where every day I know I'm at least going to be in the car by myself for at least a total of an hour. So there's plenty of time to kind of go through my affirmations, go through my ideas, go through my dreams, go through my gratitudes. And I think it's not that I'm not religious. It's I believe in certain things, and I don't believe that you need to follow a certain way of living. But what I do believe in is that you do have to kind of put out into the universe your thanks and your gratitudes. And I
Mhm.
think that is how karma works. I think if you want to put it that way. So yeah, I love going into my car alone and turning off the radio, just having some peaceful me time, and subconsciously driving or subconsciously thinking.
That's beautiful, I want to thank you for coming online this evening. We're about 45 minutes in, and I want to thank you very
Wow.
much, for coming on the show. And obviously, just to recap, so Andrew's from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Realtor, is very much involved in the estate agency business. And he's equally started his own business as well, which is called Create Your Own Success, which is really fantastic. I'm just going to put up again now the links on the website, which is Andrew Perrie, founder of CYOS, Create Your Own Success. Do connect up with Andrew, and have a chat with him. Reach out to him. The Diamond Show and the Diamond Experience Show is all about uniting entrepreneurs around the world, bringing entrepreneurs together, and giving you an opportunity to meet people online in a live scenario, so you can get to feel what somebody's like and see whether you resonate with them. Now, my experience of life and my experience of being an entrepreneur, I feel old now saying I've been in business 30 years, but my experience is this, that the thing is you never know what's behind the door. You never
Absolutely.
know what's behind the person you're talking to, and you never know who that person's connected to or what it can do. And I think the best advice I would give after broadcasting, 6 or 7 of the Diamond shows now, is this, that, reach out and connect with people, but in the way that you reach out, take some time to say hi. So many people make the mistake of just, they'll come on to me on Facebook and on Messenger and say hi, hi, and I do this and I do that. Whereas me, I just normally reach out, I send a recorded message, and I think indeed I did the same to you, a recorded message with you, and we chat.
Absolutely.
I want to try and get to know somebody, and I think it's really important to do that, how you reach out and connect, because the thing is, we can all prejudge what someone looks like, what we feel, what we think their profile looks like, but I guarantee you, if you look past what you first see, which is what I always coach, and just take time to get to know somebody, the person that you'll get to meet is going to be completely different than the person that you think they are. And with Andrew, when we first started speaking, Andrew was very forthcoming in saying, listen, I want to do some more public speaking, I want to learn. So he reached out to me by seeing one of my posts and connected. And now we're connected. And now I'm sure our network will open up, because, it's going to be my pleasure to have Andrew back on the show. And it's been my humble pleasure to have him here. So from me, thank you very much indeed for watching this evening. Andrew, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'd like you to take the show out, actually, and say good evening to everybody, to thank Radio Works World, to say this is Andrew Perrie being interviewed on The Diamond Show, and just to finish up with a shout out about your website and what you do. So if you're ready, and that's okay, I'm going to pass across to you to take the show off air and to say thanks to the audience and to Radio Works and everybody else.
Yes, well, thank you very much to Radio Works and everybody who's been on today and engaging with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bradley. And if anybody wants to connect with me, the best way to do it is just on Facebook. Facebook at The Real Andrew Perrie, or Facebook Andrew Perrie Real Estate. I'm always an open book, just like Bradley is willing to accept messages from people he doesn't know, just because you never know how things are going to work out. Like he said, I do as well. I welcome all messages from anybody and everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, listen, for me, I'm Bradley Chapman, the host of The Diamond Show. We've been broadcasting live this evening on Radio Works World, and my guest and another humbling interview this evening has been the amazing Andrew Perrie. And just an update on, it's a pleasure, Andrew, and thank you. Just an update, Radio Works World, September the 6th, Make the News London, fantastic new event, Mindset Matters. This is one not to miss. It's being held at the Crown Plaza in Battersea, which is an amazing hotel. And as many of you know, meeting Marina Nani and Gary Nani, the founders of Radio Works, have been introduced to them by another sort of performance coach guy. It's been one of the greatest journeys, actually, because now we're working and helping each other, supporting each other, helping each of our businesses to grow. So it's kind of a collaboration personified, where people can come together. They've got common goals, common aims. It's not just me and what I do and Radio Works work together. It's a whole network of people now that's involved in Radio Works and what they're doing. Some are like me, they're hosts, and they're broadcasting live online and sharing stories of people like Andrew Perrie, an amazing guy, entrepreneur, dad, an all-round inspiring fella that's involved in real estate and also, marketing as well. It's a whole network now that's really raising its vibration in helping people. It's not about what we do, it's not about what I do, it's not about what Andrew does, it's how what we do helps you. It's how what we do can help you to move your business forward. It's how what we do helps you to put some light into your life, to turn that light switch on for you to come forward, to come on stage, to speak who you are, to show who you are, to deliver your story, to be open to the fact that we need coaching, be open to the fact that everybody needs a coach, even me, even the Queen of the United Kingdom has a coach, and I'm absolutely sure the Canadian Prime Minister has got a few as well. So for me here in the UK, this is Brad Chapman, this is The Diamond Show. For my guest, Andrew Perrie in Canada, bless you, Andrew. Once again, thanks for having you. Thanks for coming on the show. Bless you very much.
Absolutely, thank you.
It's a pleasure. Just something funny, just to take the show out. I'm going to take my glasses off now. I've got to share this with everybody because this is quite funny. When you broadcast and you're looking at your laptop and you're looking at what's going on, you're trying to see who's viewing and who's watching. Funny story. So I have my injections today at the doctor's about 2:15 this afternoon. And I've done 2 shows tonight, one with Tim Burke, the amazing Jedi advertising guru, former CBS executive from America, from Missouri, and of course the amazing Andrew Perrie. And when I was talking to Tim, but he blew me away with his advertising. And Andrew has been fantastic. I've realised that with my injections, I can hardly see straight. I can't think straight. I'm wobbling all over the place here. And I've realised all my typhoid and Hep A and everything else has been injected in both of my arms today. I've realised that I'm now about to go off air and I'm going to go like this. Boom. I'm going to crash out. But listen, guys, thanks for watching in. It's been a blast. Andrew, bless you, brother. Thank you for coming across. Let's get you back on the show in a few weeks' time. Once I come back from my first holiday in 2.5 years, actually. But it'll be a pleasure to have you back on the show. Congratulations. Thanks, Andrew. We're going to go up there. Just say one more thank you from Andrew.
Take care. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, guys, we're ending the show. Thanks for watching. This is Diamond Show, proudly powered by Radio.W.O.R.K.S World. It's your time to shine. Have a great evening. God bless. See you. Bye.
Bye.
And it looks like we're ending the show, but it also looks like we got stuck. We might still be live if we are. I'm not sure whether my screen has got stuck.